It's the 15th of October, 1969, and the current president of Somalia, Abdirashid Shermarke, is touring Los Sanod, a town in northern Somalia that has recently been impacted by a severe drought. His bodyguards are close by his side, as political discontent has been growing within the country. Suddenly, the sound of an automatic rifle rings through the air, killing Shermarke instantly, fired not by the crowd, but by his own bodyguards. The assassination of the president laid the groundwork for the 1969 Somali coup, which saw Siad Barre rise to power, the dictator who would rule the country with an iron grip for the next 21 years. The military coup took place on the 21st of October. Vehicles captured government buildings, soldiers arrested politicians, and anthems were played over the radio. Barre, head of the armed forces and soon-to-be president, broadcasted the takeover stating, "Intervention by the armed forces was inevitable. It was no longer possible to ignore the evil things like corruption, bribery, nepotism, theft of public funds, injustice, and disrespect to our religion and the laws of our country." The people were ecstatic. Corruption was rampant in Somalia. In fact, the elections that were to take place after the assassination were already decided based on the highest bidder. Despite being head of the military, Barre oversaw socialist policies where he nationalised the land, established public works programs, and successfully implemented literacy campaigns, which dramatically raised the rates from 5 to 30%. He also made efforts to reduce the effects of droughts on Somalis by banning exports on charcoal, organising relief camps to provide food, water, and shelter to drought-displaced people. However, in 1970, he would also introduce laws such as the National Security Law No. 54, which gave the police power to arrest and detain anyone who criticised his regime. Geopolitically, Somalia is in a strategically important position at the mouth of the Red Sea, and both America and the Soviets were taking interest in his support. Initially, Barre aligned himself with the Soviet Union, establishing the Somali Revolutionary Socialist Party as a one-party government with aspects of scientific socialism and direct ownership of the means of production. However, throughout the 70s, conflict with Ethiopia forced the USSR to pick a side, in which they sided with Ethiopia. In July of 1977, the Ogaden War broke out, with Somali troops invading across the border, successfully capturing most of the Ogaden territory. Barre's sentiment became more nationalistic, he disbanded the SRSP, and the Supreme Revolutionary Council returned, advocating for a greater Somalia. With the USSR and the communist world in support of Ethiopia, Barres turned to the USA. However, Somali troops were eventually pushed out of Ogaden, with foreign volunteers from other communist countries such as Castro's Cuba. By the 1980s, public discontent with his regime grew, and even with American economic and military aid, it would not stop the rebel movements from taking action. By 1991, a civil war had broken out in the country, and he fled to the southwest of Somalia, with all of the country's financial reserves. He would lose the civil war, and by now he was over 70 years old, where he fled to Nigeria and died in 1995 from a heart attack. Barre's regime in Somalia was stated as one of the worst human rights records in Africa by the United Nations. It was reported that citizens were subject to killings, torture, rape, and psychological intimidation. It was estimated that 60,000 people were killed just between 1988 and 1989, when unrest was at its greatest. Today, the effect of Barre's regime is still felt across the entire world. Somalia is in a state of civil war, and pirates are rampant along the Horn of Africa. Welcome back to episode 5 of Dictators A to Z, where we play dictators from real life inside of Hearts of Iron 4. Today is Siad Barre, who we are playing in Kaiserredux. Kind of already got Greater Somalia here, you can kind of see.
Yeah.
We do start off with what the guy was trying to, do with the Greater Somalia.
Yeah.
But we're called the Sultanate of Somalia, and you can actually play as Siad Barre in Kaiserredux. I think it's this one. You got to do Barre's SRSP rises to power. So I think it's the socialist path. Funny thing is, he was socialist until it didn't really work out for him, until the communist world decided to go against him. And that actually does happen inside of this playthrough. I like how the attention to detail from this focus tree of Somalia and Kaiserredux actually pays attention to what he did in real life. What an interesting individual that guy is. He's like switching sides in the Cold War, man. Of course, he was occupied by Italy. I mean, Somalia was occupied by Italy, so of course they're switching sides. That just makes sense. They take after their colonizer, I see. They take after their colonizer. Anyway, we only start with 2 national spirits as Somalia. We have this Iron Fist one, which just loses political power, and then we also have a risk of famine or food shortages. I do want to create a greater Somalia beyond what we already have, alright? So let's do the economic development. And we'll see if we definitely are fighting Ethiopia. I mean, we just got beef, don't we? We just got beef against Ethiopia. And probably going to claim to... Oh, we need that. Oh, we're going to be fighting the Reichspakt, aren't we? Much like real life, Siad Barre actually starts as one of your generals. And the first opportunity I get, I promote him to Field Marshal because why not? Anyway, Black Monday hit Somalia, so I began going down the economics tree to try and get rid of it as soon as possible. Yeah, so building the Civ is going to take way too long because of Black Monday. Maybe I should just try infrastructure, like... That might be a bit quicker. Still, 1937 is crazy. Now, despite having a lot of Ethiopian land, we still do claim a little bit of Ethiopia. Alright, there's our infrastructure. Engines of war. I think a Civ is more important. Oh, food shortages? No, a Civ. I couldn't do any other focuses, so I was waiting for an event to fire, but then I realized that we actually have to go down to a specific focus to get the coup. Damage to garrisons. Do we occupy? Is it occupied? No, we don't occupy any territory, so I don't see the point of doing that. But there is a point in doing that, because that is the side we need to do in order to actually move forward politically. If we go down the left side, we can get Barre in power. What's this one? Research speed. Ooh. Alright, tackle rule famine, end the famine. Either way, these economic focuses are still really important if I'm going to have some form of industry anyway. Really quickly, if you enjoyed that intro and learning about dictators around the world, I recommend you subscribe. I'm doing Dictators A to Z, so there's still lots more to come. Now, if you're wondering about the state of our army, it's obviously not very good, and neither is our navy. In fact, I was surprised we had a navy at all. Air Force? Yes, 30 fighters? Damn, Somalia. Next year, I'd continue to improve my economy and my army. Alright, cash, crops, investment. There we go, 5 civilian factories. Oh, I forgot to mention, we have a very big manpower problem. We're on extensive conscription, and our current army size is below 100k. We're on extensive conscription to start, and we only have 96... We've got no manpower, oh my god. We've got 96,000 manpower in our army, we've just about run out of manpower. Total manpower, 100k, and we're on extensive conscription. Oh, that's so cooked. Yeah, fortunately, there are some manpower bonuses in our focus tree, but they're not for a while, so I end up going down mass assault as well in my doctrine. Let's get mass recruiting, actually. That would be nice. The 5% recruitable population factor. I just realized, what timing? I need that. Anyway, I was starting to get confused about why no events were coming up and why I can't get Siad Barre in power, so I had to read through the path guides. It would have been wise to read this before I started playing, but you know me. Turns out you need to do a specific focus down the left side of the tree and then let a centralization timer run out, so then total anarchy takes place and then you can get a coup. Alright, there we go, and now let's crack down on powerful clans, and this will allow me to do some very cool stuff. So now there should be a timer. Oh, there we go, 200 days. So we let that time out. So let's just go and get this Civ, I guess. And then also modify Black Monday a bit more. So I continued building up my industry while waiting for the 200 days to run out. I also had a look at my division templates, and because my industry is so weak, I wanted to keep them simple, so I just literally did infantry, not even artillery at this point. There's 768 manpower left. It's funny because I think Ethiopia is like one of the most populous countries in Africa. In fact, today it's the 3rd most populous, and we have to fight that with no manpower. Let's do these state-sponsored scholarships. 3% research speed. Anyway, 1937 came to an end, and in 1938 the coup would occur. Okay, 1938. The centralization of Somalia is going to run out in 29 days, and we should get like a coup or something. And Siad Barre is going to take power. Chaos. There is chaos in, what's it called? Mogadishu. It gave us 3 options, and of course I chose Siad Barre to take power. Workers of Somalia unite. Now, I don't like the portrait that they used of him, okay? The one I used in my intro is glorious, alright? It has the painter's moustache. I mean, it's... Anyway, the totalist path of the focus tree opened up. The start of the focus tree focuses on what he historically did, improving literacy rates, implementing scientific socialism, and then also reducing the effects of droughts and famine. He also did help to improve any, like, ban the export of charcoal, right? And that also helped somehow preserve nature. I don't exactly know how that happens, but yeah. Alright, cool. Mass nationalization spree. Here we go. A military factory, civilian factory, loose stability, yada yada. Let's do that. Now, because I had done all those economic focuses at the start, I wasn't actually that far away from getting my war goal on Ethiopia. Let's do expand higher learning funding. I want to just get to the war goal against Ethiopia, honestly. Before I invaded though, I made sure to build up the supply as it was looking real bad beforehand. I then went down the mass assault doctrine for the manpower. Okay, let's do the scientific socialism. It gives us a research slot. I need that. Research speed again, 5%. It's too good. And then all this production. Alright, 16 divisions, 141k. That is the size of my army. And I don't know if it's going to be enough. Mind you, the provinces are really small around Ethiopia, Somalia, so I have to actually get a lot more divisions per, like, land, I guess. Anyway, we got an event about the direction of our country, and we have 3 different options. We can either stick with the ideas of Marx and Lenin to finish the revolution as planned, drift towards pan-Somalism and left nationalism, or compromise on the revolution and pursue personal ambition. I personally do pan-Somali left nationalism. If we do the leftist nationalism, we get recruitable population. Pan-Somali left nationalism, though, I think that's the way to go. So yeah, we are now leftist nationalist. Alright, state-funded national revival done. This just gives more people. But we get a lot of people when we go put on pan-Somali roots. So I'll go anti-tribalism. And then, I kid you not, I got the biggest event I've ever seen in my life. I'm not reading all that. And then I have to make a decision, but it doesn't really do much. I just get, like, political power or, like, stability. I got a shorter event afterwards, though, that gave me some divisions, which is much needed. Followed by another one that dropped some lore about some hole in our capital that I think is going to be used for torturing. Those who enter the hole are never known to leave, for this gulag is feared for its horrific and unforgiving reputation. I gotta check, is this real or is this Kaiserredux made up? I mean, this probably was accurate because, I mean, he did torture a lot of people, and where better to torture people than a hole? Pan-Somali roots, done. Let's do Pan-Somali ethos. The game then gives us another event which gives us the opportunity to deviate from our ideology. Like, what the hell? Alternatively, he could forge an alliance with the remaining right Pan-Somali nationalists still left in the state, and create a syncretic state of certain left and right principles in order to bring pan-Somali paradise. And that is the one that I choose. We're still considered a radical socialist government, so our ideology doesn't change, but yeah. Anyone buying our oil? The People's Revolutionary Army. Is that these guys? Hey, they're buying our oil. Anyway, I finally got up to the focus where I got my war goal on Ethiopia, and I would invade. I think we're ready. They're not guaranteed. Let's go in on Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia have a lot of divisions, but since the provinces are so small in this area, not even they were able to cover the entire front. However, of course, I made sure that I did. And so I began just trying to pull off small encirclements, and that way I would outnumber them by a lot more. Oh, alright, there's that encirclement. After crushing only a few more divisions, the war would become very one-sided. However, because again the tiles are so small, it takes forever to actually move across the terrain. Combined with the lack of supply and terrain, my divisions may as well have been crawling. Alright, he's dead. Cool. And then we can kill this guy. At one point I got sick of microing all my divisions and just pressed the go button. In the meantime, I completed the final focus, which gave me a new name and a new flag. A flag that you'd probably recognize. Our flag! Our flag! It's the Somalia flag! Yo! Okay, so we completed the focus for now that name. Also, Ethiopia's surrender limit was really high, so I had to take so much land from them just to capitulate them. Enough? There it is. It was enough. Okay. For the peace deal, of course, I took my claimed state, but then I liberated Ethiopia and Eritrea. Oh, hey, look at that. Okay, so we got our Ethiopian Socialist Republic, our puppet, and our Eritrean Socialist Republic. Now, there are still 2 countries that I have war goals against. First is Djibouti, okay, that I have actually a core state on that, and also Jubaland from Kenya. What about Djibouti? Do we have any? Oh, we have core in Djibouti, actually. We could go ahead and just do a quick intervention against Djibouti. I want to control who goes in and out of the Red Sea, okay? The ultimate Somali pirating if we have legal recognition over who goes in and out, and we can just take whatever we want. Now, of course, Djibouti was very easy to just walk in and take. No one opposed my invasion. I mean, it would be Ethiopia probably, but they're gone. Also, invading this country was actually a better idea than I thought, because look at the resources here. It's like 11 for everything. Yo, that was like 10 resources and everything. What, it's just 11. Okay, that's a bit weird. Controlling the Red Sea. As we rise to a growing regional power here on the Horn, some within our government have sought to seize the neighbouring country of Yemen to secure our influence in the Red Sea and wider Indian Ocean. Free war goal against Yemen? Don't mind if I do. Yeah, I'm taking a war goal against Yemen. Hell yeah. However, right now I would rather focus on Kenya. And by looking at the front line, they actually look pretty strong. Uganda is a puppet of the Kenyan Ugandese Free State. Oh, so that we get Uganda as well. Ooh. I declared war, and it became evident that this was going to be a lot harder than Ethiopia. Following the invasion, we got an event about Barre's past. His former comrades were calling him a psychopath, and that his bloodthirsty nature isn't a surprise. and that he used socialism only to get support from the masses in order to get power. Whether this is actually true, I'm not sure. I didn't go back that far in my research. Anyway, after pulling off a few more encirclements, assuming that I was going to win pretty easily, there was a major twist in the war. We get naval invaded? Who am I at war against? Oh, they're in the Entente? Alright, they were not in the Entente when I declared war. This is actually some BS. So now I have to actually guard my ports and worry about the French and the Portuguese invading me and Canada and everyone. And this is especially BS because I have the option to join factions as well, except for the Third International. And the Third International isn't at war with the Entente like they normally are. Like, they should be fighting, but they're not. So I can't even join the Third International to get the communists on my side fighting the nationalists. It's so bad. Oh, thank God, another division. Can I train more, please? That was a bit of microing, but now that we're in a bad position with the Entente. I cannot believe we're at war with the Entente. What the hell? So now I have to deal with endless naval invasions. Meanwhile, I'm trying to capitulate Kenya, which, mind you, I have to take every province to capitulate them. Why isn't there an option to join the Third International? I'm literally rad sock. Not only is it just not available, but like it's not even listed as an option. It baffles me why that's the case. And honestly, it's not looking good. Both the French and the Canadians have invaded me in the north, and that they're just pushing. I've one more province left in Kenya, and they haven't capitulated. I had to take every single province. The Entente and the Third International are just best friends all of a sudden. Oh, look, we're just the greatest buddies of all time. And no, we're not done. To top it off, I can't even look at my own capitulation or the casualties in the war. I click the button and it doesn't do anything. So then I go to the world tension thing and I try and look through the current wars and I click my war and it doesn't open. So when I make the decision to try and strategically retreat back behind the river, I wouldn't know that I would capitulate, and so I capitulated. Faster than me. I capitulated. Going behind the river would have capitulated me. Oh my God. I decided to leave it there and I came back the following day. Okay, so we're back to the latest autosave and they haven't actually invaded any ports yet. So I'm going to see if I can try save it. My plan was to just like, if they had already invaded, I was just going to go behind the river and be like, screw it, I'm just going to try and set some kind of fallback line there. However, I do have the opportunity to save it. Firstly, I'm down on guns, so I immediately make my divisions smaller. Secondly, I completely abandoned Kenya. I just set up a fallback line with like the minimum amount of divisions just to hold the line. I do not care about that anymore. The rest of my divisions are all defending the ports and the coastline. Not to mention, I haven't called in Ethiopia or Eritrea. I'd rather not have that front line to deal with as well, but I do request their divisions. Through decreasing the size of my units, I was able to train more of these militia, which use less guns per person. And I guess I'll just have to hold the fort until, the totalists get involved, but I have got my claim, which is all good. There's the Horn of Africa invasion. Somalia is a fortress now. Alright, we're going to ensure that we win. Funnily enough, someone else declared war in Kenya. The Goring country. It's Goringa, or something like that. Anyway, they invaded Kenya, and I'm like, okay, well, if they're invading, I'm sure I could also invade with my very minimalist army there. What is this? And of course, all of my guys have left. Oh my God! Why is it like this? Why? There's like, they take one province here and then my entire garrison goes over and then leaves everything else exposed. This is a really annoying feature, how like you get a naval invasion and then everyone that's on the garrison order goes over. And so then you're subject to another invasion. And then of course you get invaded, they take a port and you probably lose. Luckily it wasn't that big of an invasion, so I was able to get it under wraps with a few divisions just by taking the port from behind them. And look, now this is open. And this is open. Okay, we're just going on the garrison. We're not even invading this anymore. I completely abandoned Kenya by this point. I'll let the Goring country handle them, but they probably won't be able to. Whatever. I need those divisions to deal with the naval invasions that are currently happening. And I somehow managed to survive until 1941. Unfortunately, Hermann Göring's country capitulated, so I have to resend divisions down there to defend against Kenya. Oh, yes! The Entente, finally! Okay. Oh, they finally have another enemy. Oh my God. 1941. You're telling me they invade the mainland. Oh, are you serious? I thought this would provide me a pretty good opportunity to join the Third International, but unfortunately, no, I still couldn't. It's these three French... Oh, here we go. No, they're not dying. And another invasion. Okay. Come on, guys. We can repel this one. Fortunately, I did. I think they were trying to reach those three divisions that are stranded in the middle of my country. I can't defeat them. They're just there. They're not moving. It's annoying. But yeah, I did repel that invasion. Whoa. So I'm at war with the Entente and the Latin Union. That's just great. But that's interesting. So it's Spain, because Spain managed to finish their civil war. I've never actually seen this happen before, the Latin Union being created, and then the French national state joining it as well. Sounds like it could be a pretty fun fifth alternative to all the other factions, up the sixth, because there's also the Cairo Axis, seventh, because of the co-prosperity sphere. A pretty fun seventh alternative. They've invaded! They've actually landed in Britain, what? Maybe it's best I didn't join the Third International if they're getting invaded that easily. Anyway, I've cleaned up the majority of naval invasions now, so I can send like half my army over to Kenya. And now I want to deal with them for good. Once again, I'm going to have to take every province. I've also completed every focus in my focus tree, so once I beat these guys, all that's left is Yemen. Where's my mate Idi Amin? Where's my mate? Can you like appear here? Certain dictators will like reference other, like will have like other references to other dictatorships. I was talking about this episode with Barre, and he actually like, bro, like knew Idi Amin. He was like around with Idi Amin. It's like, it's interesting. There's like references to other dictatorships. They all like know each other. They're like best friends. They go down to the local. They're all corrupt together. They spend the country's money on like a night out. They have a night out with the dictators. Let's go. I would love to have a night out with dictators. Imagine the night out. I'm just imagining the Hangover movie in my head. I mean, they don't have to follow any rules because in their own country, because they're like the dictator. Anyway, I finally capitulated Kenya, and with that gone, I was able to capitulate Uganda very easily. With that finally out the way, I could then focus on trying to invade Yemen. Berlin fell. Oh, because now Russia's crushing them. Wait, France might survive then. France is going to survive because Russia's crushing Germany. After finally remembering and researching transports, I was ready to declare war on Yemen, who are at war with the, Oman? Well, it's called Muscat in this mod. It's the same country, though. Fortunately, the Entente fleet were occupied with other things, so they weren't on my coast anymore, and I could freely invade across the Red Sea. Oh, not the Red Sea, the mouth to the Red Sea, whatever that sea's called. It's like the Indian Ocean, but like, I don't know. I set up 3 invasions, 2 of which would go on the other side into the Red Sea, but it turns out I don't have access to put my troops through the strait there, so only 1 invasion launched, which completely failed because it was on its own. So then I tried again, putting 9 divisions on just 1 tile into the port in Yemen. And that once again completely failed. I mean, I don't know why they have so many divisions, to be honest. Now, I could improve my template and get amphibious tanks and do the whole charade. But like, is Yemen really worth that effort? No. So I tried one last time with my current divisions, and I invaded from Eritrea this time across the Red Sea into like the north of Yemen. They landed and it was all good. I was trying to build a port, but I was struggling to build it because they were constantly attacking me. And then I eventually got encircled and they all died. And yeah. So it seems like a war is going to persist between me and Yemen for the foreseeable future. I'm sure that's great business for the Suez Canal. Maybe Egypt is going to have to intervene to put an end to this because no one's going to be using the Suez Canal. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the intro, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for next episode where we'll be playing Bashir from Sudan. Currently, Sudan is in a very precarious situation. They're going to split again. There's going to be like 3 different Sudans. Because the military and something else. I haven't really read up on it, but I will be sure to. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.